Welcome to the Orlando Sentinel's Orlando Magic Now, our weekly look at the Orlando Magic. I'm Charles King, and this is Josh Robbins, and today we're going to talk about a variety of topics as the Orlando Magic get ready to begin the regular season. So, Josh, let's jump right into it, and one of the things that I think is very interesting going into the season is how the Magic, and specifically Scott Skiles, will handle all of the talent that the Magic have at the wing positions and how he'll juggle the rotation and playing time.
Well, he's got a tough job. He can't make everyone happy. The key decision he has to make immediately is who's going to start at small forward, who's going to start at power forward. If Tobias Harris starts at power forward, that reduces a little bit of the logjam at small forward, at shooting guard. So it enables him, hypothetically, to start Aaron Gordon at small forward, to start perhaps even an Evan Fournier at small forward if he chooses to. So if he can just put Tobias Harris at power forward, which would have its negatives, it would at least have the positive of at least opening up a little bit more playing time at the small forward spot, which would have a trickle-down effect for everyone else.
I think that there's maybe an idea that Scott Skiles doesn't like to play rookies or like to play rookies that much, but you would argue against that point.
Yeah, that is all you read in so many of these national publications. Skiles hates rookies, doesn't like to play them. Not true. Not true at all. Look at Luol Deng during his first season. Look at Ben Gordon during Ben Gordon's first season. During Ben Gordon's first season, Ben Gordon was the sixth man of the year in the NBA. Brandon Jennings started all 82 games when he was a rookie. Luc Mbah a Moute started somewhere 55 games as a rookie with the Bucks. So Skiles has done it before. Here's the essential question, Mr. King. The essential question is, can Mario Hezonja play defense? Will he be caught out of position in this defensive scheme? And if he's not out of position, if he can actually follow the defensive scheme, he's just too talented not to play. He's just too good a shooter. He will get his minutes if he can play well defensively.
And we're going to talk about the Orlando Magic and their hopes to improve the defense. Been a little better this preseason. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But for now, let's talk quickly about this upcoming first 6 games on the Orlando Magic schedule. We'll go in a little bit more detail about this opening week later on, but they were 4-14 against these first 6 teams last year.
There's no chance in my mind that they go 500 or better. It's perhaps the most brutal starting schedule in the entire league this year. Let's just talk about this first week to begin with. All right, so they begin Wednesday against the Washington Wizards, a solid playoff team, a team that has plenty of veterans.
That the Magic did not beat last year.
Correct. 0-4. Not good. Not good for the Magic. Friday, Oklahoma City Thunder. Healthy Durant, healthy Westbrook, healthy Ibaka. 0-2 last year against the Thunder, even when Durant was having his problems. Tough. Sunday, now that's it. Sunday, the Magic play a team, the Chicago Bulls, that they actually match up very, very well against. 2-2 last year. That could be a win, even though it's in Chicago.
The Magic won in Chicago last year.
Yeah, correct. Yes, I remember. I was there. And but after that, it's still tough. New Orleans, Anthony Davis, my pick for MVP this year. Houston Rockets, James Harden, Dwight. And then the Toronto Raptors, who caused the Magic so many problems last year, it was almost comical if you were a Raptors fan. So if the Magic can go 2-4, I think they would take that right now. They would be happy. They'd be dancing all around everywhere. Magic fans, I think that would be a tremendous amount of a confidence boost if the Magic can go 2-4. But 1-5, I think, is more likely.
With a team that everyone needs to see make an improvement this year, it's really been the talk of the offseason with the Magic, is that the team needs to make a jump, some kind of jump this year, some sort of improvement. But to have this kind of a schedule to start the season, it could really kind of let the air out of the fans' hopes for this team if they're not really looking at the competition that they're facing. Do you think this has a chance to kind of derail some of the excitement coming into the season if they start off 1-5, 0-6, maybe even 2-4?
Well, it certainly could. I mean, look, let's face it, fans are not exactly the most well-informed viewers. Sorry, fans. You want me to be honest with you? I'll be honest with you. You're not always the most informed. Then again, you might say the beat writer is not always the most informed either. I'm the beat writer. But there's another way to look at it. The other way to look at it is with a new coach, with a few new players, this is a team that should get better as the season goes on. So as they are getting better as the season goes on, these first 6 games are already out of the way, which means they're going to be spending more of the remainder of the season playing teams along the likes of the Sixers, really the dregs of the league. So at least then the strength of schedule will be lower for the final 76 games of the season. The real issue isn't what the fans worry about. The real issue is whether the players who are so used to losing, who were really beaten down over the last 3 years by all these losses, whether they start to suddenly stop buying into the new defensive scheme, the new offensive scheme. I don't think Scott Skiles will let that happen because Scott Skiles is going to hold them accountable. He'll actually take away playing time if players aren't doing what they should be doing. But that is the real issue. It's not what fans think. It's what it's how the players react if the first 6 games go as I project them to.
Well, at a recent preseason game, we had a chance to talk to some of the players and even Coach Scott Skiles about this upcoming brutal schedule. Let's take a look at that.
It's going to be a big test for us. I mean, it's going to be this is the first 5 games of the 5 top teams, and
who commands the respect of the locker room through not his words, not like Dwight Howard did, who could talk a mean game, but through his actions. And by actions, you don't have to be perfect in how you play, but your approach to how you play has to be consistent. It has to be perfect. You have to be the first guy at practice. You have to be the last guy off the court. You need to follow the schemes. You need to be attentive in film sessions. And again, I'm not insinuating that the Magic are a bunch of goal brickers. I'm not saying that, but it's one thing to be a solid pro. It's another thing to be a great pro. And Tim Duncan, he is the consummate great pro. David West, a consummate great pro. Of course, they both play for one team, and that's one of the reasons why the San Antonio Spurs are so great. They've got Manu Ginobili, another great pro. Tony Parker, an established pro who follows the lead of the other three guys I just mentioned. So that's what the Magic have to get to. I would say if the Magic needed to identify one single leader right now, it's not a single person on the roster, although one day it could be, maybe. Right now it's really Scott Skiles, it's the coach, which, he can fill that void, but I think you need to have a player, and preferably 2 or 3 players, or even 4 players who can do that. That's what the great teams really have.
All right, another topic, Josh, the defense, something that has been talked about a lot. The Magic, statistically, very poor last year among the teams at the bottom of the NBA. And so far this preseason, it's been promising.
It has been, but you mentioned the stats last year. 28th in field goal percentage defense, 29th in three-point percentage defense. Terrible, just awful. 25th in defensive efficiency. I mean, this team could not stop anyone. And remember this, they were actually better once James Borrego took over. So just remember how awful they were before that. It was atrocious.
Sure.
It was an embarrassment, but it wasn't surprising because when this rebuild started, they were a bad defensive team. The second year they got better, but year 3, they just went off a cliff. So if they can't get better defensively, they won't make a jump beyond 30 wins. I can guarantee you that. In the preseason, yes, some of the numbers were promising, but that's the preseason. Last year, Jacques Vaughn's final year, the preseason numbers were also promising. And so this preseason, yes, they did better field goal percentage defense overall, approximately 40%, which would be good, but the Magic put people on the line 33 times a game, 33 free throws a game. Magic, if that continues during the regular season, the Magic are toast. So they're
more aggressive, but it's hurting them in the fact they're putting people on the line.
So in other words, you just summed up everything I just said in 45 seconds in 5 seconds. That's why you're the true talent.
Josh and I talked about the Orlando Magic and their efforts to improve the defense. We had a chance to speak with some of the players. Here's what they had to say about the subject.
I think the biggest thing for us is the defensive end of the game, and I think we're doing a pretty good job each and every game and every practice of working on all those habits and making them a strong point for us. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for us going forward, and we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
I feel like we're almost there where we need to be. I mean, we've made a lot of progress this preseason with picking up some of the coverages and different things that Coach wants us to do. So, we're almost there, but it's still going to take a little bit. But
for us to be a good team is we need to be good defensively. And I think guys are buying into it. They're really trying hard, and mistakes are going to happen. That's normal. And some teams are just, even though we play good defense, we're going to be able to score. There's a lot of great players and a lot of great teams in this league, but we have to do what we do over again, and I think we'll be fine. I think guys are really buying into it, and I think the more we do it, the more practice we get together, more games we get together, something might get better.
We made some great strides, and at the end of the day, we still have some ways to go, and I think that shows a lot about our team, and it's something that we'll continue to get better at. And every day we work on it. And, we worked extremely hard this whole training camp, and to a point where we're ready for live action to happen. And I think it's going to be a lot of excitement. Come our first game.
All right, Josh, lastly, let's preview this week's games. 3 very tough opponents we talked about earlier. They have Washington on Wednesday, Oklahoma City Friday, Chicago on Sunday. The Magic 0-4 against the Wizards. What is it about last year 0-4 against the Wizards? What is it about this team that gives the Magic problems?
Well, there was one game here in Orlando last year where the Wizards won on a last-second play. So the Magic were close on that one game. They weren't really that close on the others. So the Wizards are a very balanced team. John Wall, the fastest point guard in the league, well, perhaps the second fastest. Bradley Beal can shoot. Gortat, very, very versatile, fast center. Nene, who is a winning player at power forward. Magic just don't match up well against the Wizards for whatever reason. They just don't. And if the Magic can't contain John Wall, if they can't stop that pick and roll between Wall and Gortat, they're going to continue to have problems.
And they turn around and face, if Wall's not the quickest point guard in the league, then it's Russell Westbrook, and that's who the Magic play on Friday, Oklahoma City. Durant is back, and we assume he's healthy. This team has more offensive firepower as a whole than it's had in years past. This is certainly an incredibly challenging matchup for the Magic.
Yes, and you're being very kind. And it's Billy Donovan's first regular season game against the team that he was the coach of for a couple of days. So, look, John Wall may be the fastest point A to point B point guard in the league, but Russell Westbrook is without question the most explosive player. I think he's the most explosive player in the whole league. And again, he's going to cause big problems. Again, very difficult second game for the Magic. The Thunder have so much to prove. Didn't even make the playoffs last year. So, again, of all the games in the first 6 that the Magic play, that actually might be the toughest one for the Magic to win.
And I think the game of these 3, strangely enough, because I think a lot of people think the Bulls are maybe a contender for the Eastern Conference title, but strangely enough, also the Magic are 2-2 against this team last year, and it may be the team they have the best shot at beating. I think you would assume that.
Correct, and the Magic play well against the Bulls at the United Center. One of the victories last year in Chicago, they beat the Bulls the year before that in Chicago. For whatever reason, the Magic, again, it's all about matchups in the NBA, among other things, but it really is all about matchups. For whatever reason, the Magic match up well against the Bulls. I suspect it's because, Pau Gasol, one of the benefits is that he's not necessarily a physical center, which kind of plays into some of Nick Vucevic's strengths. He's not necessarily a physical center either, and Vucevic matches up well against Gasol.
Is Derrick Rose going to be playing?
Yes, I believe he will be unless he gets injured before then, yeah.
Okay, we have Josh for just a couple of more moments, so we're going to do a lightning round now, just 30 seconds on each of these topics. Let's blow through them. Eastern Conference champion, who do you have?
Cleveland Cavaliers. I know I'm not being original. I know this is the easy pick, but it's also the correct pick. LeBron, best player in basketball. Tristan Thompson is back. He won't be as effective early in the season as he should be late in the season. As long as Kyrie Irving can stay healthy, as long as they can get something, just anything from Kevin Love, I think they are far and away, the best team in the East.
The closest contender in the East to them.
I think the Chicago Bulls, I don't think the Bulls are going to be the second seed, but I think that they are the second best team in the East.
All right, Western Conference is a little tougher.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Are you asking me my prediction?
I am asking yours.
Okay, so I think the Warriors are going to repeat there as the Western Conference champs, but I think they're going to have a much tougher road. I mean, already Steve Kerr, he has an injury problem, and I think that will disrupt some of their continuity, but I think they're strong enough to get out of the Western Conference.
Durant being healthy makes the Thunder very intriguing. Do you think the Thunder could win the West?
Without question, but I think the Thunder are going to face so many distractions with Durant's upcoming free agency. That's not I just think the Warriors are better, but I think that's going to play against the Thunder. A first-year head coach. So I'm going with the Warriors.
So you've got a rematch in the finals. Who do you have taking it all?
This time the Cavaliers. If I say assuming they're healthy, I mean that's a very pathetic way to make a prediction. I'm saying not only are they going to be healthy, that they're going to win the whole shebang. They're going to win the whole, and they're going to take the Larry O'Brien Trophy to Cleveland. Cleveland's title drought is going to end.
It'll be a very expensive trophy looking at what the Cavs have spent in salary this offseason. All right, so MVP, let's get your thoughts, Josh, on who do you think will be the MVP this year?
the tide has turned in the NBA. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is going to win the MVP. I still think, pound for pound, LeBron James is the best player, but I think this is the year Anthony Davis wins the MVP. Alvin Gentry is going to find the best possible ways to utilize Anthony Davis's talents. Anthony Davis wins his first of many MVP awards.
I think you're right, especially with some of the injuries the Pelicans have. You can probably see a spike in his numbers too, especially early in the year. All right, let's talk about Rookie of the Year. Who do you have there?
Okay, so I think this is a two-player race. Emmanuel Mudiay, point guard, Denver Nuggets, maybe the steal of the draft, maybe not. Shot better than anyone thought during Summer League. But I think it's going to be Jahlil Okafor, center for the Philadelphia 76ers. You mentioned numbers. Well, look, the Sixers are awful. They don't have any real good point guards.
Another thing that might benefit Mudiay, being on a team where he's going to have free reign.
And it will benefit Mudiay, but I think the East Coast voting bias will play in Okafor's favor. I think he'll pile up some very strong numbers. I suspect he'll do it. And I think Mario Hezonja will finish 7th.
So not on the first team.
Well, no, and again, we talk about the logjam on the wing. If he were the starting shooting guard, which he shouldn't be on this team, not the way it's structured right now, then I think then he would be a contender. I think Mario Hezonja might actually turn out to be one of the 2 or 3 best players from this entire draft.
All right, let's talk most improved player now. Who do you think is a player that could make a big jump this season?
Well, here's a player who's, I wouldn't say near and dear to your heart, but you've mentioned him before. Rudy Gobert, the center for the Utah Jazz. I think this is the year when he leads the Jazz to be a top 7 defensive team throughout the entire year. He's now one of the top rim protectors in the entire league. My pick is Rudy Gobert. Who do you think? Well,
I do think Gobert is a great choice and someone who I think is going to become a little bit more of a household name in the coming years as one of the league's best centers. I think you got to watch out for is C.J. McCollum from Portland with Wesley Matthews and Nick Batum no longer on the Trailblazers. I think there's a lot of minutes and a lot of opportunity for McCollum there. All right, let's talk lastly about most disappointing team. And I think this probably has a lot to do with what your expectations are for these teams coming in. But what's a team that you think could take a slide this year?
I think it's going to be the LA Clippers. Do I think that they're going to take a slide? I don't project that, but I don't think they're going to make it beyond the second round of the Western Conference.
And that's why it would be a
playoffs.
disappointment, because this team needs to take the next step.
Right, and they should be improved. And they bring in Lance Stevenson. I'm not pinning what I predict on Lance Stevenson. I think he's been a punching bag enough, probably deservedly so, for what happened last year in Charlotte. But I just don't think that team, with DeAndre Jordan's free throw problems, with the fact that I don't think Blake Griffin is as dominant as he should be. I'm not sold on the Clippers, even with Doc Rivers as the coach, even with Chris Paul as the point guard. I don't think they make it to the conference finals.
So maybe not the lightning round that we promised, but still great information from Josh Robbins in our inaugural Orlando Magic Now show, Josh.
This show is going to go on for many years. It's going to be like the Seinfeld of news outlets' weekly professional basketball shows. Do you remember the very opening Seinfeld pilot?
Not really.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus wasn't even in that show, so we're going to have to add some characters in shows 2 through 300.
So you're saying we need to add some more talent to make this show what it needs to be?
No, yes, I'm probably saying that, yes.
All right. Josh says we'll be here for years. I'm hoping just for weeks right now. So we appreciate you watching our very first show, and we'll see you next Monday and every Monday throughout the rest of the season.